What if I told you the next big Star Wars project wasn't another Jedi story, wasn't another Mandalorian spinoff, wasn't even another Skywalker-related saga, but instead an actual horror project? Would you be excited, or would you think Disney has completely lost its mind? Welcome to the channel, everybody. Jimmy, your Chaos. I read every single comment on every single video, and today we're going to talk about the wild rumors and speculations about a Star Wars horror movie. Now, believe it or not, it's not another random internet rumor somebody made up on Reddit or 4chan. This all started when Andor creator Tony Gilroy himself made a pretty interesting comment during an interview and actually suggested that a Star Wars horror project is actually in the works. Now, before you guys run to the comments and say, Disney officially confirmed a Star Wars horror movie, stop. That's not what happened. He didn't give a title. He didn't say whether it was a movie or a Disney Plus series. He didn't reveal a director, and he definitely didn't announce a release date. But what he did say was enough to get people paying attention and for me to make a video and you and me to talk about it. Honestly, the more I think about it, the more I think a Star Wars horror movie might actually be the best idea Lucasfilm has had in years. If Disney will greenlight a Deadpool rated R movie, why not Star Wars? I mean, the funny thing is people act like Star Wars and horror complete opposites, but let's dig. Let's dig into the franchise. Star Wars has been flirting with horror for decades. It just never fully committed to it. Think about some of the creepiest moments in the franchise. You've got the Geonosian brainworms from Clone Wars taking over clone troopers like something straight out of a sci-fi nightmare. You've got the Night Sisters raising the dead. You've got the zombie stormtroopers in Ahsoka. We've got Sith cults hiding on forgotten worlds performing rituals and worshipping ancient dark side powers. Come on. And then you've got Darth Vader. Let's be honest. Darth Vader has always been a horror villain pretending to be a sci-fi villain. That's true. The reason that hallway scene in Rogue One became so iconic isn't because Vader was cool. It was because for those rebel soldiers at that moment, he was terrifying. He was literally Star Wars version of Jason. He was. The lights go out, nobody can see anything, then suddenly a red lightsaber ignites in the darkness and people start dropping. People start dying. The scene is basically filmed like a slasher movie if you sit back and you think about it. The audience just happens to know this monster's name. And that's what actually gets me excited about the idea of a Star Wars horror film. The galaxy already has all the ingredients here. The question isn't whether Star Wars can do horror. The question is, what kind of horror would it be? So for me, I broke it down. 4 directions they could go here. Stay with me, let me know what you think. Some of them make way more sense than others. The obvious choice is Vader. Not a Vader movie from Vader's perspective. We've seen enough of that. I don't want another story where Vader is basically a superhero mowing down enemies while everybody cheers, right? If you're going to go do Vader horror, you have to make him a monster. So imagine a story about a rebel cell hiding on a remote station. Communications go dark, power starts failing, people start disappearing, nobody knows what's happening until someone catches a glimpse of a black silhouette at the end of the hallway. You barely even show Vader for most of the movie. You hear the breathing, you hear the doors, you hear the screams, and every once in a while, you get the red blade ignited in the dark. It'd be pretty terrifying if they did it right, the ambiance if they said it right. The problem is, I don't know if that carries an entire movie. It probably doesn't now that I think about it. Vader works best when he's used sparingly. The more screen time he gets, the less scary he becomes because eventually he turns back into the hero of his own story. So that brings me to a smarter option. Dathomir. If Lucasfilm genuinely want to make a Star Wars horror, this is the answer. That planet already feels like it belongs straight out of a horror movie. Everything about it is unsettling. The atmosphere, the forest, the fog, the ruins, the rituals, the dark magic, the fact that the dead don't always stay dead. Come on. You don't even have to invent new lore here because the lore is already there. It exists. Imagine a group of explorers responding to an old distress signal. They land on Dathomir thinking they're investigating some ancient ruins. At first, nothing's wrong. Then they start finding signs that somebody was there before them. Then they realize whatever happened to the previous expedition isn't over, and they start hearing voices. Maybe they see figures moving in the distance. It sounds kind of like aliens. Maybe they discover that some of the people they thought were dead aren't dead. That kind of story could genuinely be creepy. It could also feel authentic to Star Wars. Honestly, if I had to bet on one direction Lucasfilm would choose, I'd probably put my money on that, but I've got a darker option. Let's go Sith cult horror. One of the most interesting things the sequel trilogy introduced to me was the idea the Sith weren't just individuals. They had followers. Entire generations of people dedicated their lives to preserving ancient Sith knowledge. We got glimpses of it on Exegol, but we never got to explore it. So what if a horror project focused on that side of the galaxy? Forget all the lightsaber duels, forget giant space battles. Picture a very small crew investigating an ancient Sith structure hidden somewhere in the unknown regions. You got strange symbols covering the walls. The deeper they go, the more things stop making sense. Maybe they discover recordings left by previous explorers. Maybe they realize they're not alone. I think the best horror stories make people feel really, really small and tiny. And the dark side always worked best when it feels ancient and mysterious rather than fully explained. I actually like this one now that I'm thinking about it. It has potential. It wouldn't just be horror, it would be cosmic horror. The kind of story where characters slowly realize they've stumbled into something far older and far more dangerous than they ever imagined. But I've got one more. What if we're just talking about pure nightmare fuel? I think the most effective option could be the simplest one. Yeah, I'm going Dead Space here. A survival horror story trapped on a ship. Now, the reason I think this one works is because horror thrives on limitations, on things being claustrophobic, right? The smaller the environment, the more tension you can create. Now, Tony Gilroy actually revealed that Andor almost had an episode that was essentially a horror story involving a KX security droid hunting people aboard a tanker ship. That alone tells me people inside Lucasfilm, they're thinking this way. They see the potential. So, let me set the scene. Imagine a medical frigate placed under quarantine. Nobody can leave. Nobody knows who's infected. The threat is moving through the ship. Every corridor becomes dangerous. Every door becomes a decision. Every voice on the intercom becomes suspicious. That would be the kind of horror that doesn't require a massive budget, doesn't require some huge galaxy-spanning storyline. It just requires tension. I don't know who the villain would be. Once again, sounds like aliens, but it could work. I mean, the franchise doesn't need to become a full-blown R-rated gore fest. I'm not saying that at all. That's not what makes horror work. What makes horror work is atmosphere, ambiance, it's uncertainty, it's vulnerability. It's putting characters into situations where the Force can't automatically save them and a lightsaber isn't the solution to every problem. Yeah, for years, the franchise has gotten bigger, bigger, and bigger. Every story feels like it's about saving the galaxy. Every conflict, it's like the fate of the universe is at stake. Rebels versus the Empire. What if it was smaller? Way smaller. Tell a story where survival itself could actually be the victory. I think the biggest thing people need to remember, though, is that none of this is officially announced. We don't have this, I don't know. We don't know if it's going to happen. We don't know who would be involved. We don't know whether it ends up being Vader, Night Sisters, Sith cult, something different. But Tony Gilroy's talking about it. We do know that. He publicly suggested a Star Wars horror project is in the works. Based on everything we've seen from the franchise over the last few years, this idea makes a little more sense. I mean, if I had complete control over Lucasfilm, I'd combine all the best elements together. Give me a Dathomir setting, give me a small group of survivors, give me Sith mythology lurking in the background, give me the atmosphere that feels oppressive, uncomfortable, maybe a Vader appearance at the end, I don't know, to stop the other villain, who knows. Sometimes the monster is scarier when you only see him once. So yeah, give me your thoughts. What if Star Wars actually embraced horror? What if they made the audience actually feel uncomfortable? Would it be a huge swing and a miss, or could that be something that people would actually connect to? Let me know. Let me know what you think of my 4 options, which one you think the best that would be. I'm kind of leaning toward the Sith. I just feel like they're set up for horror, but you guys let me know what you think.